It's often described as the most wonderful time of the year, but for some, the holiday season can bring increased stress and worsened mental health conditions. Nearly 6 in 10 associate the holidays with the most mentally draining time of year, with financial worries topping the list of concerns. So it's important to practice safe self-care and find ways to reduce that stress when possible. Here with some tips to help us enjoy the holidays, licensed clinical psychologist Dr. Nicole Rantilla. Dr. Nicole, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So what usually triggers or kind of worsens mental health and stress issues during the holidays?
We have a lot to do. We have a relatively limited amount of time to do it. We want to do it all. And it's also really expensive. And some of us may miss our loved ones who are no longer with us around the holidays. So there's a lot swirling around.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on the loved one part in just a little bit. But what are some signs and symptoms that people may be having a mental health crisis during this time?
Just feeling stressed, fatigued, feeling like you can't fit it all in. If we feel a little irritable or cranky or feel like time is going by too quickly.
What can they do to kind of, recognize that would help a little bit?
I always encourage people to slow down and prioritize what are all of those holiday things, obligations, invitations that matter the most to you. And really hone in on those and keep those commitments. And don't be afraid to say no to things that may take away from your joy and only add stress.
And of course, the workplace can also contribute to stress and anxiety. What are some things that people can do to kind of alleviate that stress when it comes to working, especially when they have a hard time kind of disconnecting?
I encourage people to take one thing at a time, be in the moment as much as possible, one task at a time. Use agendas, use lists so that you can see what is most important in this moment and stay focused on that. And never be afraid to even just take a 5-minute time out, go for a little walk, take a deep breath, and just remember what's important right now.
Yes, making an agenda and a list is so helpful. That's so true. Also sometimes those big family gatherings can be a little bit overwhelming. What can people do to relax in those situations?
I would say it's okay sometimes to not go for the whole day if you want to go for part of the day. And again, prioritize what get-togethers and events mean the most to you. It's okay to say no. It's okay to have healthy boundaries. Also, talk about things that are fun. Talk about things that bring people together. And find something to laugh at.
Yeah, something positive.
Something positive.
Negative, yes. We also hear about how social media can kind of set unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
How does social media play a role in holiday stress?
Social media can, while on the positive side, create some really lovely ideas for your tablescape, your recipes, for your decorations. It can also create a lot of pressure to be perfect. So just remember that the best holidays are with people and creating memories, not about how everything looks. So use social media for inspiration, but also unplug if it gets too much.
I was going to say, would you say people should maybe back away from it during this time of the year?
Well, I'm always a fan of having some limitations around it because we lose track of time when we're scrolling on social media, and that time might be better spent doing something that brings you joy in your own home.
Yes, that's very true. I'm a victim of that, honestly. I'm just
We
like,
all are.
the hours should get away from me.
Yeah.
So for people who have lost a loved one or a significant other during the holidays, it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
What can they do to help get them through this season?
I always encourage people, and having gone through this myself too, to really focus on, is there a tradition, a recipe, a song, an event that makes you feel connected to your loved one, and make that part of your routine and make that part of what you do for the holidays. Again, it's okay to feel what you feel, and I hope people feel what they feel. At the same time, those memories are positive for a reason, and so what can you connect to that brings back that memory and brings you some joy?
All right, perfect. Dr. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me with these tips. Those are perfect. WFMJ Weekend Today will be right back with more local news.